everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about some Wheel of Time news that dropped over the last couple of weeks during the holiday season, but it's sort of a mixed bag. We're going all the way from rumors and conjecture about the delay of Season 2 and Barney Harris's exit from the production, all the way up to and including reputable articles by Forbes about Season 2's budget and what to expect. We're also going to talk just a bit about an interview that Rafe gave that talked somewhat about the end of Episode 8, why he made certain decisions, and where we're going to go during Season 2. All of this included with a leaked pilot script. Yes, it is a real script. We're going to talk about that one and some of the changes made from that. And then some made real fan castings from Twitter. We're going to talk about those too. There's definitely at least one person joining the production because of some fan castings on Twitter. And then another one that is kind of pushing for it right now. We're going to talk about all this in today's video. So if you're new to the channel and you don't know what I do here, I cover Wheel of Time show news. So anything and everything to do with the Sony and Amazon production, that's what we do here. So if you like that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell because I'm putting out a ton of Wheel of Time content while we wait for Season 2 to drop. Now that being said, spoiler warning, in this video we're going to talk about certain elements of Season 1 of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show, so if you haven't watched the first 8 episodes of the show, be forewarned, I'm going to ruin plot points and character arcs from all the episodes, including the finale. Alright, let's get on to the video. Alright, so we're going to start with the mixed bag and work our way up. The first 2 articles I want to talk about are both by a gentleman by the name of Edward Lauder. Now, the first one is titled The Wheel of Time Season 2 Release Date Delayed by Lord of the Rings. Ooh, very doom and gloom, very clickbaity, very... Of course I clicked on it. Of course. I suspect most of you would have as well. You go on to read the article, and there are 2 quotes in there by Vernon Saunders. He's the co-head of Amazon TV. And they're both from a different interview he did with another publication, not with Small Screen, which is where these articles come out of. And the first quote basically stated that Rafe Judkins has shown him the rough cut of the first few episodes and that he's very excited for the fans to see it. That's pretty much it. Second quote, they talk about their lineup for 2022, and it's huge. The Boys, The Expanse, Lord of the Rings, which is massive, almost just over $750 million for budget, just absolutely crazy. And then, of course, The Wheel of Time. Nowhere in that article, in any way, shape, or form, did it say that they're going to bump the Wheel of Time. It's all conjecture based on the fact that they have a huge sci-fi and fantasy lineup. They're going to run them separately from each other with a big buffer between. And that's it. It's just the author's conjecture. So what we do know is we have no idea when Season 2 is coming out. We don't know that. And that's it. So we don't know when it's coming out. It can't be bumped yet because there was no date in mind. Now, a lot of the fans, like myself, are guessing we're going to see this in late November like we did with Season 1, which, to me makes sense. They're filming until the end of February. That gives them a ton of time for post, for marketing, for rewrites, reshoots, anything else they have to do, and a lot of buffer for any COVID-related incidents that may happen. And if you go on Lord of the Rings, which is really the only other big fantasy property they have coming out that fall or winter, Lord of the Rings is releasing early September. Now, I know nothing about the Lord of the Rings production whatsoever, but if they do 8 episodes like Amazon is fond of, even if they release them weekly, it'll still be done long before Wheel of Time releases. If they release 3 up front and then weekly like they did with Wheel of Time, again, done long before Wheel of Time releases. So I don't think Lord of the Rings is a big concern. I think it'll be over and done with long before Season 2 ever comes out. So I don't think it's pushing it. Now, the second article that Edward Lauder wrote that we're going to talk about today centers around Barney Harris and his exit from the show. Now, this has been a hot topic among the fandom for quite some time, with people on one side of the fence basically stating that it's none of our business. We don't know why Barney left. We don't care. It's his business and Amazon's, and we shouldn't even ask about it. Fans on the other side of the fence saying that, I don't care. I want to know. It's celebrity news. We want to know why Barney left or what went on there. We should be entitled to that information. Now, I, like almost everyone else, is kind of somewhere firmly in the middle. If they're going to tell us, they'll tell us, is the way I look at it. Barney hasn't said anything. His agents and his management have said nothing about it. Amazon has said nothing about it, other than the fact that production team and some of the cast have said nice things about him in public. That's pretty much it. We know that he left at the end of episode 6. He didn't come back for 7 and 8. That's all we truly know. Now, this article that Edward wrote basically claims that Barney Harris was fired for his unwillingness to vaccinate. Now, I do know that Amazon has a very stringent vaccination policy on their sets and for a lot of their productions for good reason. I mean, it's like any other place of work. Most places of work these days require double vaccination to even go to work. I know myself, my wife, who's a healthcare worker, a number of other people I know, if you're not double vaccinated, you can lose your job. So that part of it tracks. The other part of it is there was no real proof offered in the article. So I reached out to Edward and I asked him, I said, listen, where's the proof? I want to know, because I'm going to talk about it on my channel. I would like to personally have the proof. I don't have to showcase it, but as long as I have it, I know I can tell my viewers about it. And he was unwilling to give me any proof, and he did say that his source is someone who should know. Then that's all that I got out of him. So I will let you folks know that quite a few months ago, someone told me a similar story about Barney. However, it was fourth or fifth hand information, and they were unwilling to provide me with any proof whatsoever. So I never ran it on the channel, and I never talked about it, because, let's face it, if I don't have proof for something, I don't want to set it out there as fact, because if I'm wrong, it ruins my credibility. So we're going to file this one also under rumor. There is absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, no proof that Barney Harris was fired for unwilling to vaccinate. In fact, most of the cast didn't get their vaccines until they wrapped filming in season 1, because they weren't available until then. So I really have no idea why he got fired, but it's still something that a lot of fans are going to talk about, and we're probably going to see many other articles like this. Now, the next thing we're talking about are these two articles. So there's two of them here, and they both talk with Rafe Judkins, and he sits down, he explains a few things away about the end of season 1. So he talks about the changes from the source material, talks about some things that are happening. He basically lets fans know that Loyal lived. He was stabbed, he was on the ground bleeding, and then less than 12 hours after the finale aired, Rafe Judkins came out and said, no, he's not dead, it's fine. So I think he knew that a lot of us were pretty upset about that, but he let everyone know they wouldn't kill Loyal off that easily. But then he also talked a little bit about a couple of other things. The first thing was the love triangle between Lan, Nynaeve, and Moiraine. Not that Moiraine and Lan had a love connection. There was more of a business connection, and Nynaeve's love interest kind of shoehorning her way in there. So we talked a little bit about that during these articles and why he wanted to showcase that in the screen. But he also talked about that iconic scene in episode 8 where Lan basically tells Nynaeve that he's in love with her, but he can't be with her. And they talk back and forth a bit, and these words are pulled straight from the books. Now, it's a different setting. It's in Faldera in the show versus just outside of the Seven Towers of Malakir in the Blight when they're on their way to the Eye of the World in the books. But iconic scene, something that most of the fandom really wanted to see, and he talked about it being a fight. A huge fight to get brought to the screen. Now, I'm hoping that's hyperbole. I really am hoping it's hyperbole, and he didn't have to fight the Amazon executives that hard to get something that is so important to people who read the book series into the show. Although, it did seem like he was completely telling the truth when he said that. So I'm wondering how many other really iconic scenes that we missed from the first season that Rafe wanted to include that maybe he was told to cut or not have at all. Kind of crappy. But maybe with the success of season 1 and some of the feedback they've been getting for season 2, we'll see more of those scenes from the books thrown into the show. I'd really love that. Now, the other thing that he talked about here and that I want to mention is Moiraine and Lan in season 2. Now, we all know that Moiraine does not have much book time, so she's not much time in the page in The Great Hunt, which is the second book of the series, and she really only comes back into the fold for most of the third book. That's when she's really more important again. And, of course, Rosamund Pike is their top-billed actress for the show. Daniel Henney would be their second. You can't have them excluded from a full season of TV. They probably wouldn't have signed on in the first place. So I knew, and I'm sure most other fans who thought about it knew, that we're going to see more of Rosamund in Season 2, more of her in The Great Hunt, and we're going to have some major changes to include that. He did talk a little bit about that. He talked about the fact that the way she was left at the end of season 1, and he did not specifically mention that she was stilled, which is kind of interesting, sets up a plot for her and Lan to go travel again during season 2, and we get to see more of their interactions together alone and build that relationship for the viewers, which is really neat. Now, my guess is, and if I had to guess, this is probably how they're going to introduce Varen or Cadsuane in season 2, or perhaps Vandene, another Aes Sedai that they meet later on, to help her remove her shield or figure out what's going on with her so she can channel again. That's probably going to be most of her plot for season 2. It's my guess anyway, but he did talk a bit about that. Now we're going to talk about this. This is an article from Forbes. So Vernon Saunders, the co-head of TV for Amazon, did come out and say straight out the season 2 of Amazon's Wheel of Time show will have a much bigger budget than season 1. However, there's no numbers involved, so we know conservatively, the budget for season 1 was between 80 and 90 million-ish. And that was broken to us by Watt Series quite some time ago and reconfirmed a number of times by major publications since then. But we don't really know the exact number, and we have no idea what their budget is for season 2. And we also do know that they started filming season 2 long before season 1 ever released, long before the marketing even began. So the fact that it has a bigger budget is probably not a lie, but my guess is it's not going to have a massive increase to a budget. Let's put it this way. Lord of the Rings has $750 million for the first season. Wheel of Time had about 1/10 of that. My guess is we'll get a few more dollars for season 2, but we really won't see major budget increases until season 3 because the success of the first season wasn't known at the time. It's my guess anyway. All right, now we're going to talk about this. I am going to do a full video just on this script. For those of you who are wondering and want a breakdown of it, it'll come out in the next couple of days, but I did want to mention it. So the TV pilot, so season 1, episode 1 script was leaked online in its entirety, and you can read the whole script. Now, I will let you folks know this is not new to me. I've seen this quite some time ago and was asked not to share it. However, it is real. It is a real script. It isn't something that's written after the fact. This is 100% the script, one of the final drafts of the script for season 1, episode 1. Now, in this script, there is a ton of things that didn't make it to the show. For example, there were multiple sex scenes in the first episode. And there was a note in the script saying that the sex scenes should focus solely on female pleasure, and that's it. Mainly, I think, to differentiate it a little bit from Game of Thrones and to go more into the theme of the first season of the show. Now, the sex scenes included Rand and Egwene, which, we kind of seen that a little bit in the show, but they didn't explicitly show anything. To Matt and Dana. Now, if you remember Dana or not, she was in the Wine Spring Inn and she had that really nice bracelet that he ended up stealing. Well, he ends up stealing that while making love to her outside the inn. Pinned against the inn, basically. That's the whole reason he did that. Kind of shows his character as being a little more dastardly than in the books. All of this, including the open of the show, which was supposed to be Gitara Morsoro, the Aes Sedai who gave the prophecy for the dragon being born. That was supposed to be the cold open, according to the script. However, that was all changed. And in fact, in the script, she was described as being completely blind, which boggles my mind. I guess they were going for a blind seer type thing, but anybody who knows anything about the books knew that an Aes Sedai who's blind can't really channel because she can't see what she's affecting. Now, there are some little caveats and exclusions to that rule, but by and large, if she's blind, then she wouldn't be able to channel, and why wouldn't one of the Yellow Sisters heal her? Because unless it's a major wound where she lost her eyes. Anyway, let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Of course, I will do a full breakdown of the script and talk about all the changes between the script and what actually made it to screen in another video, but I thought it would be neat to mention it in this and let you know that it's coming and that it is an interesting read at the very least. Now we're going to talk about some fan casting. So, I have to read this because I can never remember her name or pronounce it properly. So, Shohreh Aghdashloo, and again, I probably pronounced that wrong, and I do apologize. She plays a major character in The Expanse, and she is a famous actress. She's really, really big, and she's fantastic. A lot of people kind of fan casted her as Cadsuane on Twitter of Time, and it gained traction. And they tagged her in it a bunch of times to the point where she actually tweeted back, and she was like, what's going on here? Who's this character, and why should I play them? And she tagged Rafe. Then her and Rafe started tagging each other back and forth in tweets. So it was really neat, and they got to the point where they're talking about DMing, and Rafe actually released a statement saying that he's DMing with her, and he has an active role for her that he would like her to play. So they're in talks for it right now. Very, very cool. Now, how much this was a PR stunt, I have no idea, but it seemed a little too calculating and perfect for it to be anything else but just the fans trying to get involved. I don't think, and this is not a dig at Amazon, but I don't think their marketing team is that smart to get something like this off the go. I think it was actually fully organic, actually happened to the fans, and it was very, very cool thing to see. I was actually part of the tweets back and forth here and there talking about it, retweeting some of the stuff, and it was really neat. So this is a big plug for Twitter Time. If you folks don't have Twitter, go get it. I mean, go sign up for an account. It takes about 2 seconds. A lot of the really neat stuff that's happening in the Wheel of Time world happens through Twitter. So we get on Twitter castings, we get pictures, we get set videos, we get information, we get interaction with the cast, the crew, the production team. All of that happens almost exclusively through Twitter. And for about a year and a half, almost 2 years prior to the release of the first episode, exclusively, that's all they did. All the marketing was just on Twitter through Twitter of Time. So if you go get Twitter, my Twitter account's down below in the description box. Follow me there. I retweet and talk about all this stuff all the time on Twitter. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of named characters, a lot of really other cool things happening, including this here. So this is Daniel Malick. He's a Canadian actor. He's probably best known for his role on The Expanse as well as in The Witch. In fact, he has his own Funko Pop figure made after him for his character in The Witch. He is, and has been for a long time, campaigning to play Mazrim Taim. So I really hope he gets it because, I mean, look at him. He would be absolutely fantastic as Mazrim as far as I'm concerned. But he's a huge Wheel of Time fan, and when I first started on Twitter a couple of years ago, yes, just a couple of years ago, I'm old, I didn't do social media before I started the channel, he was big on Twitter time, talking about it, trying to push for this role, and he kind of got out of the, got out of the loop of it, didn't do it as much anymore. He was busy actually getting other roles and building his acting career. But when the Cadsuane incident happened, he came back with a vengeance, and he's on there a lot right now, basically campaigning to be Mazrim. Now, these are all things you're missing if you don't have Twitter, and I know Twitter's not super popular with a lot of people, but it is a lot of fun, at least in the Wheel of Time community anyway, so maybe go check it out. All right, so I'm going to finish this off saying a couple of different things. The first thing is, if you folks, or the people watching here, have any information about Season 2 whatsoever, so rumors, pictures, videos, leaks, castings, anything and everything at all, if you're involved in the production, if you're a part of the crew, if you're a cast member who's watching the videos, and you want to talk with me about this stuff, I have an email that's in the description box of my channel. I can also be reached on Twitter and Instagram. They're wide open for messages. Send me anything and everything you have. If I can verify it is true, it'll end up here on the channel. If you want to leak me anything, I'd love it. And if you just have information, let me know too. And if you just want to chat about Wheel of Time, I do my best to reply to everybody that sends me something as well. So there's that. Second thing I want to mention is my Patreon. So I do have a Patreon for the channel. It is currently the only way to get any What Up swag. So if you want a What Up t-shirt, stickers, magnets, keychains, things like that, you have to go to my Patreon. You have to be a member of the Patreon, and I'll send you some cool swag. Now, I will mention that occasionally I'll put my videos up there 24 hours early, although it hasn't been happening as much lately as I would like it to happen, mainly because most of my videos are timely and I have to release them. But as the next few months drag on and we're waiting for Season 2, we're not getting as much news or as much leaks or casting materials and stuff like that, I will be posting more and more on my Patreon, and you'll get access to my videos days, maybe even weeks early in some cases, as I create more and more content to fill the gaps between now and Season 2. All right, I want to thank all of you very much for sticking with me here to the very end. Here's to many more.